doesn't matter what scores you are getting, still your mind is getting trained for the real exam. In the next 1 minute, you will be able to answer this question with great confidence. This is something, these are the questions that will decide your cutoff. These are the questions that will determine whether you will be writing mains or not. When you're caught off guard, you have to use some logic, some trick, some hack. You might ultimately get it wrong. Chalega. But you need to take that risk. It might evolve to a certain extent, but it won't be a radical departure from what it was in the past year. Hello, dear students. I am Zeeshan Hashmi. And as you all know, prelims is fast approaching. And we are here to learn what could be a good strategy, what could be an optimum strategy for the next 4 months or so as to maximize our chances at clearing prelims and write the mains exam. And as you can see on your screen, we will be going into detail and we'll be understanding what we call the 4P approach to clear prelims. The 4P approach. Number one is Pareto principle, which we also call as the 80-20 rule. Second, phased revision, the scientific way. Third one, periodic tests for course correction. And fourth and most important component of your prelims approach would be profiting from UPSC's mind games. How exactly this works out, we'll learn in this meeting as the meeting goes on. So I hope you guys have switched your cameras on. Cameras on नहीं होंगे तो मैं बात नहीं कर पाऊंगा आपसे. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Mahesh. So before moving ahead, let's focus our attention on a fact, or a right way to put it would be the sad reality. To be specific, and what that sad reality is, as you can see on your screen, these are just few examples representative of the many others out there. Now, this particular aspirant cleared the exam. She got into IFS after failing in prelims for one time. The next one, Nidhi Sivach, she bagged All India rank 83 after failing in prelims for 2 times. The third time, she was into IFS. Then we have Anand Vardhan, who failed in prelims for 3 times. In the fourth attempt, he was into IAS. Then we have this times, and then she was selected. We also have this another example. This particular lady failed in prelims for 5 times in a row, and in the 6th time, she bagged All India rank 167. So these are just a few examples out of those many examples who get into the final ranks after failing in prelims for an year or a couple of years, or sometimes for many years. But finally, they get the rank. They get into IFS, IPS, IS, the service of their choice. So this incites a very interesting question in our mind. As rational people, as rational creatures, the question that comes to our mind is, what is this paradox about? If these people had that capacity to be a ranker, to come in top 100, top 50, whatever the case might be, then why are these people, these worthy people, these people are worthy because they have made it to the finalists? Why were they not able to clear the very first round of the examination? Why were they not able to clear the prelims exam despite being quite worthy? And this is the story of not only these people, but us all. And how is that the case? We'll get more clarity ahead in the session. Just to give you a reference, childhood, we have been taught studying the syllabus religiously, revising whatever you have learned is the key. Days, in our school days, in our college days, but that examination like the UPSC Civil Services exam. We'll get more clarity ahead. Now, moving ahead in our discussion. What were the 4 P's? Pareto principle, phased revision, periodic tests, and profiting from UPSC's mind games. The first P, Pareto principle, which is also called as the 80-20 rule. Then what are its subcomponents? First, grab the low-hanging fruits. And there are only 2 sources which can tell you what are those low-hanging fruits. It's either the PYQs or the mentor. अगर तीसरा सोर्स आपको मिल जाए तो मुझे बता देना, मुझे तो आज तक नहीं मिला. Other subcomponents, inter-subject, intra-subject, and intra-chapters. What is? सबसे पहले, let's have a look at this picture. What do you see? What do you see? Now, as rational creatures, if I ask you, which side of the barrier would you want to sit? Your task is to catch as much fish as possible. To sit on the left side of the barrier, because a good amount of fish is visible over there. On the contrary, on the right side, almost nothing is visible. Rule. In short, what Pareto principle implies, or what the 80-20 rule implies with respect to our preparation, is that just by preparing for, you will be able to attempt, you will be able to manage 80% of the questions in the examination. Now, we need not take it literally. Exactly 20% पढ़ेंगे तो exactly 80% questions हम कर पाएंगे. That's not the case. Important low hanging fruit जो है, ये पिक्चर, इस पिक्चर में जो हमको दिख रहा है, जहां पर सबसे ज्यादा बेनिफिट है, कॉस्ट टू बेनिफिट रेशियो सबसे ज्यादा जहां पर है, हमको पहले वहां काम करना है. Having said that, let's take an example. Example लेने के पहले, what we had discussed in this slide, कि इंटर सब्जेक्ट या फिर सब्जेक्ट्स में अगर कंपैरिजन करें, वन सब्जेक्ट वर्सेस द अनदर, हाउ डू वी डिसाइड कि किस तरह से प्रायोरिटाइज करना, हाउ डू वी प्रायोरिटाइज व्हाट टू स्टडी, व्हाट नॉट टू स्टडी, हाउ टू स्टडी, विद व्हाट इंटेंसिटी टू स्टडी. So I think the answer to this is very obvious, and I won't go into too much detail. You all know, you all are serious aspirants. Subjects like general science, subjects like art and culture don't give you too much advantage. तुम पढ़ते रह जाओगे, उसमें से क्वेश्चन आएगा भी या नहीं, you have no certainty. और अगर आ भी गया, what is the cost to benefit ratio? If you would have given that much time and that much effort to another more marks over there, that's very simple understanding, no rocket science there. Now that is an inter-subject thing. Intra-subject का example यहाँ पर लेते हैं. Say for example, we have picked up student जिसने अभी कुछ वक्त पहले प्रिपरेशन शुरू किया है, and he or she is eyeing on the 2023 attempt. Now she has to decide, or he has to decide, कि geography में क्या पढ़ूं. So this is an index from the book Fundamentals of Human Geography. You can see all the chapters given here. ये किताब priority basis पर नहीं पढ़ना है. You can read this, but when you have luxury of time. इससे पहले क्या पढ़ना है? This one, Fundamentals of Physical Geography. Parity की बात हो रही है, right? both are geography books, both are NCERTs. लेकिन फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी इज अ मच मोर इंपॉर्टेंट बुक कंपेयर्ड टू ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी वाला बुक. सो विल प्रायोरिटाइज दिस पर्टिकुलर बुक ओवर दैट बुक. अब ये हो गया इंटर सब्जेक्ट, इंट्रा सब्जेक्ट, इंट्रा चैप्टर्स. चैप्टर्स के अंदर में जाके कैसे डिसाइड करें. अब यहां पर हमने चूज तो कर लिया, ठीक है. फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी हम पढ़ेंगे. फाइन, वेल डन. नाउ हाउ डू वी डिसाइड इन दिस पर्टिकुलर बुक what is more important, what is less important, and what is completely irrelevant? Now let's have a look at these pages. Now, this is a chapter from the book Fundamentals of Physical Geography, and you can see इस पर बहुत काम किया हुआ है, बहुत सारे स्क्रिबलिंग है, underlinings, brackets, and so on. So we discussed two things. One is PYQs, another one is a reliable mentor. Now assuming you have gone through PYQs को तुमने अच्छे से समझा है, or you have a good mentor at your disposal, now you know कि यहां पर जिस तरह से दिया हुआ है इस एनसीईआरटी में, माइका, magnesium, iron, silica, etc. forms 4% of the earth crust. Now this is completely irrelevant. When can you say this with authority? This is completely irrelevant. PYQs किसी मेंटर ने तुमको गाइड किया है कि इसको इग्नोर करो, then with authority you will be able to say this is completely irrelevant. Now what has been bracketized? Only the term pyroxene, amphibole, mica, olivine. Now these terms can be asked, not the nitty-gritties given under those terms. Now this is intra chapter. How do we decide what is relevant, what is irrelevant, and how do we try to take benefit of that 80-20 principle, focusing on the most important areas and leaving out other relatively unimportant areas. Irrelevant areas को तो definitely छोड़ना ही है. Irrelevant को तो बिल्कुल छोड़ दिया. यहाँ पर जैसे हमने देखा 4% in your prelims. और जो चीज relatively unimportant दिख रही है उसको भी हम छोड़ रहे हैं in the first round. कब करेंगे उसको? We'll see as we move ahead. So coming back to the slide. Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, grabbing low hanging fruits. Two most important sources that can tell you which are low hanging fruits. PYQs, which should be your Bible. Another, a good mentor. किस तरह से हम ये करेंगे? In 3 layers: inter-subject parity, intra-subject, and intra-chapter. Now I hope there is good clarity so far. I'm trying to maintain good speed so that we can also take up questions that you might be having. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. The second P under the 4P approach. What is the second P? Phased revision, doing it the scientific way. Again, बहुत घिसा पिटा डायलॉग है जो हमने बचपन से सुना है. रिवाइज करो, रिवीजन इज द की, रिवीजन इज द की. हर कोई बोलता है रिवीजन करो, रिवीजन करना है, बट नोबडी टेल्स यू रिवीजन करना कैसे है. हाउ डू वी रिवाइज in a manner that it actually helps in the exam, and not in any exam, a competitive exam like the UPSC Prelims exam. What are its transferring? Now this is the main principle. Transferring information from short-term memory to long-term memory, progressive reduction of content, स्ट्रैटेजिक बॉम्बार्डमेंट करना है, हमारे माइंड पर करना है. किस तरह से करना है हम देखेंगे. सेग्रीगेटिंग कॉम्प्लेक्स, कंफ्यूजिंग, काउंटर इंट्यूटिव इंफॉर्मेशन. नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस विद द हेल्प ऑफ एन एग्जांपल. If I ask you a very basic question, when did India become independent? You would say, sir, ये ये क्या आप पूछ रहे हो ना, दिस इज सच स्टैंडर्ड के, थर्ड स्टैंडर्ड के बच्चे को भी पता होगा. डेफिनेटली everyone would know this answer. When did India become independent? It was in 1947. When was the last time you revised it? You don't remember. Okay, you learned it long time ago. You didn't revise it later. Now, if I ask you, what is the speed of light? Now, most of people, most of the guys among you have seen or have heard about the speed of light. Heard about it somewhere. You must have seen it in some documentary. But when I ask you what exactly is the speed of light, you won't be able to recall this. Now, this is essentially a contradiction. You have heard about it, you have read about it, but you are not able to recall it. Okay. Tisra question: what is continental drift theory? Now, any student, any serious student to geography NCERTs would be able to tell what is continental drift theory, movement of continental plates, and so on. But if I ask you who propounded the continental drift theory, probably people with geography optional would be able to say. But other people, mostly other people may find themselves in a difficulty in answering this question as to who propounded. Have read even this. The name of the scholar is given in the same chapter. जिस चैप्टर में हमने कॉन्टिनेंटल ड्रिफ्ट थ्योरी पढ़ी है, उसी चैप्टर में हमने इस स्कॉलर का नाम भी तुरंत रिकॉल हुआ होगा. हाँ, हमने ये पढ़ा है. So what does it imply? What does it imply? Essentially, एक बात तो साफ है. You must have understood this thing for sure, that despite having heard or read about it, about the speed of light or the propounder of continental drift theory, you are not able to recall it at this point of time. But you were able to recall point number one. India, when did India become independent? Definitely 1947, because we have attached a lot of value to this particular figure, 1947. बचपन में हमने ये पढ़ा. We revised it at that point of time कई बार, and this got shifted in our long-term memory. नींद में से भी अगर उठा के पूछ लोगे, you will be able to say India became independent in 1947. Speed of light, you might not be able to say. Similarly, continental drift theory. Again, we didn't read this in our childhood, but we read this when we started preparing for the civil services exam. And this is a conceptual thing. Once you have good clarity over the concept, then nitty-gritties might cause some confusion, but that concept as a whole would not evaporate from your mind. So again, continental drift theory as a concept has moved in your long-term memory, but not Alfred Wegener, the very propounder of this continental drift theory, because we again did not attach so much value to Alfred Wegener. On the contrary, कोई है क्या यहाँ पर ज्योग्राफी वाला बंदा? ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल वाला कोई है? You can raise hand. Okay, शायद ज्योग्राफी वाला यहाँ पर कोई नहीं है. But anyone watching this particular or being part of this particular meeting, if he or she has geography optional, would say, sir, I know what is Alfred Wegener, while the other students don't know. Okay, so यहाँ पर we derived a learning कि यहाँ पर we are consciously going through that process of shifting information from a short-term memory to our long-term memory. Going back to the slide. First point, transferring information from short-term to long-term memory. Progressive strategic bombardment क्या होता है? How do we bombard our mind with information, with content, and segregating complex, confusing, counterintuitive information. Let's take another example. Now, this is the same chapter from the same book, Fundamentals of Physical Geography. यहाँ पर you must be able to see some underlinings some brackets, some star marks, and some annotations. And some star marks have been scribbled off, some brackets have been scribbled off, and so on. Which means now this is my book. This is my book, just for your information. Now, when I had started preparing for civil services, these things were quite new to me when I started reading this particular book. And so I started putting them into brackets. I started underlining them. And after taking inspiration from past year papers, when I came back, 7% of अर्थ क्रस्ट को ब्रैकेट में डाल देते हैं, एल्यूमिनियम आयन सिलिका को अंडरलाइन कर देते हैं, कलर वाले कंपोनेंट को यहाँ पर हमने स्टार कर दिया, स्पेसिफिक ग्रेविटी फेल्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, स्टार मार्क यहाँ भी कर दिया, and so on. Now that was the first reading of this particular chapter. I went for progressive reduction of content. Here, if you are able to see this on your screen, the bracket that was made has been scribbled off, because in the very first reading, I was able to make out that this particular thing, this particular concept, this particular information given in this particular paragraph has been understood it well. I won't forget it. I scribbled it off. So itna data मैंने अपना कम कर दिया with respect to revision. Here the star mark has been scribbled off, and the same thing, the same rule has been followed in the entire chapter. At the end, जब 3, 4, 5, 6 reading जब मेरे हो गए इस particular chapter के, so what I did was I condensed the entire chapters in a few sentences. Say for example, here you can see a few sentences written on the top end of the page. You can see one sentence written at the bottom edge of the page. Similarly, here there are 2 sentences at the bottom. 5, 6. Now, when I come back to this chapter, already I have given a few readings, 3 readings, 4 readings, 5 readings, whatever the case might be. When I read this chapter, what was counterintuitive? What was counterintuitive, or what was interesting for me was oxygen forms the major proportion of Earth's crust. Now, this was quite counterintuitive for me, so I noted it here upwards. Oxygen. Similarly, यहाँ पर mica contains X, Y, and Z. Now again, that was not that relevant, but मैंने ये लिख लिया उस समय जो मेरी understanding. Sedimentary rocks के बारे में एक point लिख दिया, metamorphic rocks, recrystallization. Now it summarizes everything. The moment you see the word recrystallization, you must be able to connect it with the metamorphic rocks. As simple as that. And at the end of this page, some important nitty-gritties that I felt were important from exam point of view, and which I was likely to forget. Because I was likely to forget it, and it was important from exam point of view, I just annotated it here. I just noted it down on the page itself, on the book itself. If magma cools slowly at greater depths, when would we have smaller grains, smooth grains, rough grains? Okay. Compaction, lithification, what are these? These are related to sedimentary rocks. Now I know this pretty well. At that point of time, these were still confusing for me. Now, if I take back this chapter, I would is there in the mind. So coming back to the slide, progressive reduction of content. Then comes strategic bombardment of your mind. Now these annotations have been made, these small points have been made. Varsha, I hope you are following. Now, with repeated intervals and before the examination, whenever I pick up this book, whenever I open this chapter, I would be able to see Okay, oxygen, biggest component of Earth's crust. Recrystallization, metamorphic rocks. Fine. I'm just moving the pages. I am not per se reading the entire sentence because I have made the sentence, those points myself, and I have read those so many times that I don't need to read them again. I just need to turn the pages and the information gets reinforced in my mind. That is nothing but repeated bombardment of important information. Important from exam point of view and important because you might be able to forget it or you might be able to get confused over it. ठीक है. So, and segregation of complex, confusing, counterintuitive information. ये तो हमने पहले ही बात की. ऑक्सीजन वाला एग्जांपल लेकर, largest component of Earth's crust, oxygen. उसको हमने अलग से लिख दिया. Moving ahead, very quickly. Third P, periodic tests for course correction. Now this is the easiest thing to understand. No rocket science here. Here, the principle. दृश्यम मूवी सबने देखी होगी. That way. And if you think you are giving a real paper, if you are giving the real exam in that particular 2-hour time frame, doesn't matter what scores you are getting, still your mind is getting trained for the real exam. It helps you in pinpointing at your weaknesses. It guides you in note making. It helps revisit. It also acts as a source of new information. Although I don't believe in using tests as a source of knowledge. Tests have to be used for training your mind only. But at times, ऐसा हो जाता है कि we tend to get some new information that we were not able to read in standard books, or we missed it. We missed that information from standard books. So, source of new information in that sense. Third point, क्या बोल रहा है? It guides you in note making. Now let's understand this again from this very chapter. हमने ये तो समझा कि oxygen is the largest proportion, largest component in Earth's crust. Fine. But when I gave a test, I saw a question which asked composition of Earth's crust in a descending order. And I knew only about oxygen. Assuming when we gave the test, the question was asking about ascending order or descending order of elements in Earth's crust. So we were not able to answer that question. So we revisit this particular point. And apart from oxygen, we try to memorize the top 3 elements: oxygen, silicon, aluminum. Silicon, aluminum is relatively easy. Cl, as we call it, oxygen, Cl. So this is how even tests help you, or how they guide you in note making. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. The fourth and most important component of your prelim strategy, profiting from UPSC's mind games. So, as you can see on your screen, it is the most important step. It is something, as we were discussing, the most important component of your prelim strategy. And this is two basic principles under this rule is escaping traps and capitalizing on subtle hints given by UPSC. Now, what does it mean? What does it mean? Before we move to another slide, let's get some clarity here. Why are we calling this the most important step, the most important component? Why are we not calling syllabus completion as the most important component? Why are we not calling revision, phased revision as the most important component? Or why are we not calling something else as most important? Now, any rational person would be able to answer this question. There are a mix of questions in the paper, some easier questions, some moderate difficult, and some questions are tougher, on the tougher side. So the easier questions and even the moderate questions never decide the cutoff. Say, for example, you might be having a basic question on president directly from Lakshmikant, a basic question from economy, a basic question on Indian economy, environment, and so on. Now everybody will be able to answer that correctly. So that is never a decider of cutoff. What would decide cutoffs are the questions which we'll be seeing now. Now this is a question from 2022. A very easy question and also related to geography. Till now we have been using geography as a reference. So we are again looking at a geography question from 2022. What does it say? Monazite is a source of rare earths. Monazite contains entire Indian coastal sands in India. In India, government bodies can process or export monazite. Now, anyone who have read geography NCERT would be able to answer this. Still assuming there is some confusion, or we are finding it difficult to answer this question with 100% confidence. Here, the underlined word entire means something. UPSC has the knack of putting emphasis on statements when they frame it in an incorrect manner. Now here double E means overemphasis. It must have been OE, or extreme exaggeration. E stands for extreme exaggeration. Earlier UPSC used to have a different format where it used to use words like all the states, none among the states, and so on. And now UPSC knows people are looking for those words, so it has improvised. But the principle remains same. Emphasis has to be put whenever the statements are wrong, because that is how you make a statement incorrect. And here, how is the emphasis being put? In the entire Indian coastal sands. Entire Indian coastal sands. Okay. So assuming we don't know the correct answer, we eliminate it. If on eliminating statement 3, we directly get the correct answer. Option B, 1, 2, and 4 only are the correct answer. So what have we done here? Going back to the slide, we have tried to capitalize on the subtle hints. Actually, I'll take your questions when we are done with the slides. We have tried to capitalize on the hint given by UPSC. Let's take another example. Now, this is a question from 2021. Those people who have given 2020, how difficult this question was perceived by the people who wrote that exam. And this question was a sports-related question, which is generally ignored by us. It says, in respect of the ICC World Cup Championship, 2 options. The finalists were decided by the number of matches they won. And second statement, New Zealand was ranked ahead of England because it won more matches than England. Now, when you look at this question and when you have no idea, you are left completely blank. But in the next 1 minute, you will be able to answer this question with great confidence. Bear with me. Here, in the first statement, the first hint given by UPSC is the language of the statement. Language of the statement. What the statement says, the finalists were decided by the number of matches. They were decided by. So the sentence is framed in a passive voice format. Passive voice format. Okay. ऐसा नहीं है कि all passive voice वाले questions गलत होते हैं. There are exceptions, and how do we deal with those exceptions? That's another initiative. That's a different thing. But the principle remains the same. Use of passive voice. Some people like to see it this way. Whenever this particular word by, which is underlined here, is used, the statement tends to be wrong because, again, it tends to make it passive. That is statement number 1. Statement number 2, another rule or another hint given by UPSC is that whenever UPSC tries to justify, a given point, it tries to validate a given statement. Now that is more likely to be incorrect. For example, in this case, The statement says New Zealand was ranked ahead of England because it won more matches than England. Now here some sort of justification is at play. Now when you have no idea, this might appear to be a risky business, but now I have conveyed these two rules to you, and taking risk and having faith in what you have learned in the last 1 or 2 minutes. If you mark option D, neither of them as your answer, you would get it right, because statement 1 we eliminated because of the language of the statement. Statement 2 we eliminated because of the element of. So before moving ahead, I hope you have this clarity by now. It is questions like these which ultimately which you study as part of your conventional books, as part of your current affairs, and so on. Moving ahead, yet another question. Now, again, this question had two statements. We are putting emphasis on these two rules: escaping traps and capital. Statement 1, the Constitution of India classifies the ministers into 4 ranks. That is Cabinet Minister, Minister of State with independent. Second statement. Now, most of you guys, if you have given even a basic reading to Lakshmikant, would be able to say safely that statement 2 appears to be correct. There is nothing overtly wrong with statement 2. What about statement 1? You have read Lakshmikant, you have read polity, still there is high possibility that you might be stuck in a 50-50 situation. You don't know whether to select statement 1. The hack comes into play, which says that whenever a statement is framed saying that the Constitution of India says something, describes something, is again more likely to be incorrect. Now, there are many examples to back this argument that such formatting of statement makes it incorrect in most of the cases, but we are going to see only this one question because we have limited time in this session. So, assuming that we are in the exam hall and we don't know what to do with the statement, and we decide to take risk and go with this particular logical paper solving trick, we eliminate statement 1 and we mark statement 2 only as our correct answer. So coming back to the slide, the 4th P of the 4P approach, the 4th pillar of our prelims approach, profiting from UPSC's mind games, which is the most important step. This is something, these are the questions that will decide your cutoff. These are the questions that will determine whether you will be writing mains or not. If you leave this step, if you ignore the fact that UPSC plays mind games, then you might find yourself in a precarious situation, because this is a reality. Now here I have shown only 3 examples, 3 questions from 2022 and 1 question from 2021. I can keep on giving examples after examples. 20 to understand the rules. Use those rules to your advantage. On subtle hints. Then at the end, before I start taking your questions, I'll be sharing a registration link with you guys for Smash Prelims 2023. It is basically a scholarship registration link, which will help you to avail a 10% discount when you enroll in the Smash Prelims program. Now, Smash Prelims, very briefly in half a minute, it is inspired by the very 4 principles that we have just discussed, the 4 P's, starting from Pareto principle to phased revision to the very end, mind games, profit of mind games of UPSC, and so on, periodic tests and so on. Inspired by that very philosophy, it contains my personal mentorship. I'll be guiding students by one-on-one interaction over phone, through Zoom sessions. Santosh sir will be taking Zoom meetings weekly. I'll be having one-on-one telephonic interactions. One important component of this program will be the Destroy Prelims workshop, in which we'll be learning the 4th P that we have just discussed, profiting from UPSC's mind games. It will be a 10-day workshop in which we'll be learning and internalizing those tricks and hacks so as to be able to take risk in the real exam and try to increase our score to by at least by a small margin. It will be a net correct thing. I've shared the link. I've shared the registration link in the chat section. You can use it. You can just copy paste it and use it after the session. Okay. So quickly raise your hands. Keep your camera on. Whatever questions you have, you can ask those questions. Just say your name. Just say your name and your question. Achal, you have raised hand.
Yes, sir. So my issue is not about. My basic issue is about faith. When I'm going to mark that particular answer, what happens is that, let's say I have logically found an answer. The time I am going to tick the answer, I don't know how a thing just thinks in my mind and it says, what if this is wrong? That faith that this is correct or not. And that certainly makes me mark the wrong answer.
Okay. Achal, what you're saying that you figure out the correct answer, but when you are about to mark the correct answer, you have this self-doubt, you have this apprehension. What if it gets wrong? Right? So now it is a good thing. It is a good thing that you were able to figure out the correct answer. But this is exactly a point. Guys, please keep your mics off. Please keep your mics off. This is exactly a point. Just figuring out the correct answer is not enough. We'll have to ultimately bubble it. And this will come only with practice and a lot of practice. And this is exactly what we are going to do in the Destroy Prelims workshop, in which for 10 days, I'll be bombarding you guys. I'll be bombarding you guys with questions, with tricks, techniques, and I'll be testing you guys, and I'll be ensuring. यही बात जो तुमने अभी कहा कि बबल करने से पहले डर लगता है और तुम बबल नहीं करते हो. So I'll be trying to ensure you develop that confidence in a matter of just 10 days, where that difference is created from just figuring it. Hope it makes sense, Achal.
Yes, sir. So one more thing, just a small thing. There are certain.
सौरभ, देखो भाई किसका माइक ऑन रह गया है, बंद कर दो.
In certain section, what happens is, जैसे I'm very bad at ancient, generally and medieval. Ancient मेरा बहुत खराब है. तो होने से पहले ही I feel कि इसमें तो मेरे बहुत कम आएंगे, and that just reduces my confidence to very low. अब जैसे पॉलिटी आया और इकोनॉमी, आई एम वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट कि ये तो आता है भाई, इसमें तो हो जाएगा.
Okay, let me ask you this question, Achal. Have you been preparing for this exam?
So I gave last year.
Last year attempt दिया था तुमने?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. You gave an attempt last year, which means you are a sincere candidate. ऐसे नहीं बस हवा में बातें कर रहे हो. You are a sincere candidate. And despite that, if you're having this fear, then mark my words, it's not only you who is feeling this way. Now, there are other students raising hands. If I ask them, they'll also say the same thing. Like Soumya is raising hand, Pooja is raising hand, Varsha is raising hand. Guys, don't you have the similar feeling when it comes to topics like art and culture, जहां से बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ने के बाद भी questions are being formed in such a way that it's very difficult to answer those questions with 100% confidence. Am I right? Yes. Soumya, Varsha, Pooja, Mahesh? Yes, sir. Okay, so I believe yes, that clears your doubt. Achal.
Yes, sir. So how to overcome this, sir? Like
to
I
overcome this?
know if I have just a little faith कि भाई मैंने पढ़ा है, if I apply थोड़ा सा भी दिमाग चला लूँ, so I will get the right answer on that.
Okay, see, I could have better explained if I had that slide with me. The basic understanding over here is when you are caught off guard. When you are caught off guard, the only way that remains before you is using a logical skill. You have to take risk. When you are caught off guard, you have to use some logic, some trick, some hack. You might ultimately get it wrong. Chalega. But you need to take that risk. Rather than बाद में पछताना कि अगर मैं रिस्क ले लेता तो स्कोर मेरा ज्यादा आ जाता, कंफर्टेबल आ जाता. ठीक है, that's the only solution, Achal. And this is a very important point you're raising. Additional books for art and culture, you are having this difficulty. So that means the paper setter, UPSC is following a particular trend. सभी लोग उतने ही पानी में है, कौन आगे जाएगा? Say for example, 5 questions are asked from art and culture. 5 questions. 1 question or max 2 questions you will be able to answer using. उसमें तो रिस्क ही लेना है. Either you leave those or you mark those wrong, or you use some logic and hope to mark them right and move ahead the lot. Moving ahead the lot is the keyword here.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. Okay.
Sir, regarding the same question.
Soumya.
So regarding the same thing, when it comes to accuracy, it's not like I'm taking a blind risk. You said risk taking is important. I did exactly the same in UPSC Prelims 2022, even in the test series. But I end up with a lot of negative markings. Even I don't answer the blind questions. I know the topic, but some of the statements I don't know. Only half the statements I'm aware. So I take a calculated risk, but I'm getting more negatives. It's not rectifying. So what to do to rectify the situation?
Okay, so let me ask you this question. You are saying you are getting more negatives when you are trying to use some logic.
Yes, sir.
So what is the first thing? What is the first thing that comes to your mind, Soumya? If I ask you this question, why are you getting so negative? What is going wrong? What would you say?
I think I need to revise more and be more clarifying on the topics.
No, I won't agree with you. लॉजिक अगर यूज करना है तो रिवीजन करके बेहतर लॉजिक यूज करोगे, ऐसा तुम्हारा बोलना है? You would never be able to be 100% sure in while using logics, Soumya. See, it's the rule is crystal clear. पढ़ के रिवाइज करके, if you are getting the answer directly, you don't need a logical trick to directly mark the answer. But if you are not able to mark the answer despite rigorous preparation and revision, okay, you will never be 100% confident, essentially because you don't know the correct answer. Till you come back to home and till you don't search the answer on the internet, there won't be any certainty whether you have marked it right or wrong. Right? So don't have this misconception in mind. If you revise more, you will be able to get more net correct marks. Logical tricks agar sahi karna hai, you will have to practice more and more logical tricks. So that's why we have called it the most important component and not revision as such. Okay. Okay, Varsha.
Sir, this Smash Prelims scholarship is for 10 days, as you mentioned. Actually, I wanted to know more about that.
Okay, Smash Prelims is a complete 4-month program, and Destroy Prelims workshop would be a component of this program. It will be a 10 days workshop as part of the Smash Prelims program. I hope you are clear, Varsha.
So this is for 10 days.
No. Smash Prelims would be a 4-month. It will remain in force till your prelims.
No, sir. This link you shared is for 10 days.
No. This link is not for 10 days. You can register it now, and whenever you enroll, you will be able to claim that scholarship. There is no such time limitation on that registration link as such.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Pooja. keep your cameras on, guys, while you speak.
Good evening,
Yes,
sir.
Pooja.
Sir, I just want to know that based on the candidates you have like mentored, so this thing that the psychology by which we solve the question paper does help to increase the questions. Does it really work, or it is just that the more we practice, the more we'll able to get the marks?
No. Your last point. Psychology of what?
Like we say that the more we'll be like having the positive mindset that yes we can and we would. So I just want to ask you that can this thing work if like one has not practiced enough, or this is like just a extra thing that will boost up?
Okay. See, there has to be a base to your confidence. एक बंदा आकर
Yes.
उठकर बोल रहा है कि I haven't prepared anything, I haven't revised anything, I haven't tried to even understand what are the logical tricks applicable in the exam. Still, I am very confident. Is there any value to that false perception of confidence? Confidence comes when you are satisfied on your own that you have prepared you have gone through PYQs, you have tried to understand various hacks at least to the very minimum level. That gives you confidence.
Yeah.
और उसी confidence को असली confidence बोलेंगे. Just saying by your mouth, okay, I'm confident, despite I'm not prepared at all. That's
Yes.
a completely different thing.
So one thing I also want to ask, that the things you are telling us to look upon, like the tricks and all, so that we should practice through PYQs or like the test series and all, because there are multiple things.
Continue.
Because the
Complete
test
yourself.
series maybe like they form from a different perspective, and the UPSCs are different altogether.
Okay, fine. Pooja, I get your point. You can definitely use logical skills in your mock tests. Nothing wrong in that. But the best source would be your PYQs. Because
Yeah.
the next paper that you will be giving in 2023
Yes,
will
sir.
be very much inspired from the past year paper. It might evolve to a certain extent, but it won't be a radical departure from what it was in the past year.
Yes, sir.
So PYQs has to be a primary source, and the question of using it in your mock tests, nothing wrong in that.
Okay.
Is there any negative fallout of using it in a mock test? Nothing.
No. The logic we analyze in the UPSC pattern might not apply to the test series question. That's why I asked the question. So one thing more I want to ask, the last one, that should we focus more on science due to the IRMS paper that will be conducted together with this prelims?
Okay. By science, what do you mean? General science or technology?
Yeah, application based, and like some of them might be the physics question, like because.
Okay. So see, what you have asked makes sense, Pooja. There is a good probability that a few more questions might be asked from technology domain, science and technology domain, application based questions. There is a good possibility of that, but there is no certainty. This is what was thought. This is what was thought when IFOS, Indian Forest Service exam, was merged. We earlier had good number of questions from environment, current affairs, but then there was a radical departure, and the format of asking questions also changed a lot. So it's better if you give a little bit more weightage to that particular area, application based, technology based questions, but don't be in this.
In the news.
Definitely data are in the news, but don't have this mindset that this will definitely help you a lot, or you will be focusing more on that by compromising on some other topic. Having said that, Pooja, if you go back to PYQs, 2022, 21, 2019, and so on, you'll find a trend. Where even after going through current affairs of past 2 years, 3 years, you'll find it difficult to answer those questions, those current affairs questions,
sir.
those technology questions. So again, even there, only and only
Yes, sir.
logical trick will come to your rescue. Say, for example, in science and technology questions, we use a trick called feasibility test.
Yes, sir.
Is the given statement feasible or not? Do you have a strong reason to eliminate it or not? Another trick that we use in such questions is the unheard technique. Now, what is unheard technique?
Yes, sir. I
say for
attended your last work, so where you said that unheard
so I would
terms
just
are usually
reiterate it.
right.
I would reiterate it for those students who are new to my workshop.
Yes, sir.
Now, there was this question from science and tech background where a particular statement spoke about embryology of pigs. Now, as a UPSC aspirant, civil services aspirant, you are not expected to have detailed knowledge about embryology of pigs, but that could be solved using the unheard technique, which means even after having prepared rigorously, both for static and current affairs, if a particular phrase, if a particular term is new for you in the exam, that is more likely to be correct. You use that and you'll get the correct answer. Okay. So this was part of your question on science and technology inspired questions. I hope there is clarity,
So-
Pooja.
So one last thing. So if the entire thing we summarize what you guided us, that we have to keep in mind the 80-20 rule and have to focus more on static rather, right?
In a way you might say, so 80-20 का मतलब ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ static करो और current affairs ignore करो.
No,
At
no,
80
that
is-
means 70-30.
That 80 is not static, that 20 is not current affairs.
No, yeah,
Okay.
that I understood. That is for the static subject syllabus, like which topics and all we have to focus more.
Yeah, see, as we have just discussed, जो चीजें आसानी से समझ में आ रही हैं, which whatever you are able to collect, read as part of your current affairs preparation, that is sufficient. ठीक है? No matter
Yes, sir.
how much current affairs you prepare for, you'll always find bouncers in the exam. So don't worry about those questions. Just make sure from your side that you have gone through current affairs, so that you have that confidence at the back of your mind. Chalo, you have at least covered current affairs. And if something is new for you, it will be new for everyone else. What will matter is how you tackle that question in the examination hall. Make sense,
Yes, sir.
Pooja?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, one last question.
Thank you, sir.
Since
Yes, Soumya.
prelims is focus areas for the serious aspirant to crack prelims.
Ideal schedule. Are you speaking about subject wise schedule?
Focus areas and the PYQs, test series, what should be the main focus areas, revisions, and how to do it roughly?
Okay. See, Soumya, see, it will be very superficial if I say, पता दूंगा, polity में ये पढ़ो, art and culture में बस इतना कर लो and all. But if until and unless I don't know what are strengths and weaknesses of Soumya, to Soumya, ठीक है? General strategy की अगर बात है, तो general strategy I'll be sharing it in the Telegram group. I hope you are part of the Telegram
Yes,
group.
sir, yes, sir.
That will be shared over there, but that will be a general thing, not completely applicable to everyone out there. Okay,
Yes, sir.
Vijay Lakshmi, you are raising hand.
Yes, sir. Good evening,
Yeah.
sir.
Good evening.
Sir, while I'm solving questions, particularly in application mode questions, I know the answer, but while solving application mode questions, everything my answers are wrong, sir. Every time.
Which questions you are speaking about? PYQs.
No, sir. In every test, sir.
Okay.
I have the answer in general questions like direct questions, but in application mode, I'm not able to answer them, sir.
Okay. Do one thing, Vijay Lakshmi. Just ping me on
sir.
WhatsApp. I need to understand what exact issue are you facing with respect to your scores. ठीक है, वहां पर अलग से हम बात कर लेंगे.
Okay, sir. Okay.
ठीक है.
Thank you. Sir.
Who else? Achal, you're raising hand.
Yes, sir. So I just want to share कि मैंने आपकी पहले वीडियोस देखी थी and आपने ये जो YouTube पे डाली है. And sir, टेस्ट सीरीज का तो नहीं पता, but they most of the time वो वर्क करती हैं PYQ में. Because sir,
Okay.
I've come to the conclusion sir कि आप कितना भी पढ़ लो, कितना भी आप रिग्रेस पढ़ लो, आप कितने भी टेस्ट दे दो, कंसिडरेबल अमाउंट ऑफ स्टेटमेंट्स होंगे जो पेपर में आपके लिए हमेशा नए होंगे. They will ask something out of the.
Now I would call this sort of an enlightenment. तुमने एग्जामिनेशन दिया है, अटेम्प्ट दिया है, पढ़ाई की है, उसके बाद जाकर तुम ये बोल रहे हो. This is coming out of experience, right? And that is precisely that is precisely the reason कि fourth pillar जो है, mind games वाला जो pillar है, we have categorized it as the most important. ठीक है? That's the precise reason for it. Who else is raising hand? Ashwini Lonare. Ashwini. Your questions, please. Soumya, you're raising hand. I can see it on the screen. Anyone has any question, guys, with respect to what we have discussed in this particular meeting, with respect to Smash Prelims, with respect to the logical skills workshop, anything,
Sir,
before we end the workshop,
sir,
before we end the meeting?
Hello.
Hmm.
Sir, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Who is this?
This is Punita, sir.
Punita.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah,
actually, I have one doubt. How to apply the logics in particular question? Because when I'm doing the applying the logics, I'm getting totally messed up with the options. Like I know the answer, but after watching the after seeing the other options, I'm getting confused whether this one is correct or not, like that.
Okay. There are two things here, Punita. Already.
Yes, sir.
Still you're getting confused.
Yes, sir.
My question to you is, have you solved many mock tests?
Only somewhat I have solved, sir.
That is
But
the
it
reason.
is, sir, solving the PYQ's previous year's papers and the mock tests are completely different, sir. Like it is in pattern is different. But it is while seeing the paper, it is completely like what I can put it in this way.
See,
Like
Punita,
yes, sir.
Punita, I'll tell you. By the way, I can't see you on the screen.
Yes.
Camera's on, rakho bhai. That shows your sincerity level of your sincerity.
Yes, sir.
When you ask questions in the question answer round. Punita, you are saying completely different hota hai. PYQs and tests, definitely they are different, but they are never polar opposites of each other. If they would have been polar opposites, no one would have attempted tests at all. क्योंकि कुछ फायदा ही नहीं है टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट करने का. And we have just discussed the second P, third P of your 4P approach, periodic tests. What is our motive? What is our thought process behind giving tests? It is to train our mind. When you are looking at the PYQ, when you are looking at a question, you know the answer. Even then, you are having this impulse. You know the answer, but impulsively, you are not able to mark the correct answer despite knowing it. You'll have to train your mind. How do you train your mind? You'll have to give more and more tests. When you will give more and more tests, when you will trust the process. If you don't trust the process, कि ये पेपर तो बिल्कुल ही अलग होता है, इसका मुझे फायदा ही नहीं होगा. If you have this thing in your mind, that won't help. You'll have to trust the process.
Sure.
ठीक है, Punita. Anything else?
Sir, in Smash Prelim program, I will get this like you said 10 days workshop, right? I will get it in that, or again I have to register for it?
Okay, students who have already enrolled, you have already enrolled earlier in
Yes.
Smash Prelims.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, I will also have to take clarity on this.
Okay,
If you're on the Telegram group, just ping me with this question in the Telegram group. I'll get clarity and answer it there.
yeah, sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Fine. Okay. Turvi was raising hand. Turvi, Pooja.
Hello.
Only girls are asking questions यार. लड़के कहाँ चले गए सारे?
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, Pooja.
So I was asking that can we? Is it possible that we can join the 10-day workshop without joining the Smash Prelims?
Acha. You want to join the 10 days workshop, but not the Smash Prelims program as such.
Yes.
ठीक है. See, the workshop is part of the Smash Prelims initiative.
Yeah,
And
that's why I asked.
It's not a separate. It's not being offered separately. It's part of the initiative. And once you enroll for Smash Prelims, automatically you will be able to join the workshop. So it's not a separate thing.
Okay, so
And
thank
that's more beneficial, right? Not just the workshop,
Yeah.
10 days workshop
Oh,
ke alawa,
okay.
you need to attempt tests. You will be getting one-to-one mentorship. If you want me as your mentor, ठीक है? So we'll be having this mentorship process and so on. It's not just the workshop as such.
That I understood. Thank you.
Okay. Vijay Lakshmi, are you raising hand?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, while I'm solving previous year questions, I'm not able to completely answer them, sir.
Can you elaborate?
Please.
Completely answer. You're not able to answer them completely. Matlab?
Sir, I know the every answer in 4 statements, sir. If it is in 4 statements, like A, B, or C, or D, like that answer, sir. In that scenario, I'm not able to answer completely. That means I only I can able to answer only one.
Can you give me an example? Can you give me an example, Vijay Lakshmi?
Okay, sir. Sir, there is a COP27 meeting held, sir, recently. In that question, I have read about loss and damage fund, where it is held, and like that facts, sir. But in exam, there are some other facts are given, sir, like which I'm not able to answer, sir.
Okay, you have read some facts.
Even though I read complete facts, but the examiner
you are
asked
speaking
some
about
more
mock tests or past year paper.
Yes, mock test, sir. Past year papers also like that, sir.
ठीक है. So it's quite natural, Vijay Lakshmi. What you're saying, you have read that particular topic, you have read some facts, but in the paper they are asking completely different facts. That's what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
In the real exam as well, the same thing will be happening. Do you expect the paper setter to set the paper exactly the way you have prepared?
No, sir. In that scenario, how can we gain marks, sir? How can we use logic?
Whenever your knowledge fails you, Vijay Lakshmi, whenever your knowledge fails you, you'll have to think out of the box. You can't just say, despite having read about this particular aspect, this aspect has been asked in a different manner. Thinking in the examination hall, rather in the examination hall, your approach should be of a problem solver. It's fine. I have read something else has been asked. Still, can there be something that can be done? Can I answer this question? If yes, what is the way? That has to be a temperament in the examination hall, and this is something that will decide your fate in prelims. Vijay Lakshmi.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Not just preparation of facts, revision of your syllabus.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other question before we close the meeting?
Sir, in
Any
last
question?
Zoom meeting, 4 rules have been discussed. No,
Who is this? Who is this, please?
this is Meghna, sir.
Yeah, Meghna.
In last workshop, 4 rules have been discussed, no, sir. Will there
Sorry,
be any other Zoom meeting for next remaining 10 rules?
Any Zoom meeting for the remaining 10? Acha. In the last workshop, we had discussed 4 rules.
4 rules, yes, sir.
For the remaining 10 rules, you will have to join Smash Prelims 2023.
Sir, I would
On the
like to
lighter
join
note.
only the 10-day workshop. Will it be available?
No, the thing is the workshop is not a standalone thing. It's part of the Smash Prelims initiative. There can't be 2 programs for prelims, right? It has to be a complete package. Personal mentorship, destroy prelims, workshop, 10 days workshop, tests, and other components. That's it.
Sir,
Okay.
Sir, I'm
Who is this?
Varsha.
Okay, Varsha, tell me.
Sir, while UPSC is asking this figures, facts and figures, can we assume that this much percentage and
Okay, Varsha, don't you think if you're thinking in this manner that facts and figures should be wrong, and there are many people attending this meeting, won't they be thinking in the same way? Other people out there preparing for prelims, won't they be thinking in the same manner? UPSC knows, UPSC को पता है students के दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है. It will always try to be a step ahead than the students. यहाँ पर हम क्या कर रहे हैं? We are trying to stay 2 steps ahead. मतलब यूपीएससी की भी एक कदम आगे जाने की हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Rules of engagement set by UPSC. We are trying to decipher those rules of engagement and try to use those for our benefit. As simple as that. As simple as that. No oversimplification. No oversimplification. Numbers use किया है तो definitely गलत होगा. That can be suicidal. Preconceived mindset के साथ examination hall में नहीं जाना है. But don't go with this mindset, preconceived mindset. ठीक है. Any other question?
Yeah,
Hello,
good
sir.
evening, sir.
Who is this? Yeah, who is this?
No.
Good evening किसने कहा? Who is this?
Yeah, Pradeep sir this side.
या प्रदीप, बहुत देर के बाद कोई लड़का सवाल पूछ रहा है, अच्छा लग रहा है, पूछो.
हाँ जी सर. Sir, actually it's about the CSAT sir.
CSAT.
तो सर हाँ जी सर. सर basically a comprehensive reading. तो सर मैं actually solve कर रहा हूँ CSAT की. सर जो आपने ट्रिक्स बताई थी कि without reading the comprehensive लगाता हूँ तो सर उसमें क्या होता है कि मेरी ना 50% एक्यूरेसी आ रही है एक्चुअली. तो सर 50 को इंक्रीज करना है सर मेरे को, वो कैसे होगा? और आई एम ऑलरेडी अ पार्ट ऑफ स्मैश प्रीलिम 2023 सर.
अच्छा, ठीक है. प्रदीप, right?
Yes sir.
So Pradeep, what you're saying, just by following a few webinars or following some videos of mine, you
Yes,
are
sir.
getting 50.
Sir.
So that is a good thing. Without even taking mentorship or without even taking part in the CSAT workshop, you are getting a
Yes,
50% accuracy. How do you
Yes, sir.
increase this
Yes.
accuracy? You will have to join the CSAT workshop.
Yes, sir.
50% is the higher from the mentor.
Yes, sir.
80% तक अगर ले जाना है, if
जी सर.
if 30 questions अगर आ रहे हैं comprehension के, 30 won't be
जी
asked,
सर.
a few less would be asked, assuming them to be 30. 80% accuracy तक जाना है, मतलब 24 questions you are aiming to mark right,
Yes sir.
which again
Definitely.
means 22 net correct answers. ठीक है,
जी
negative
सर,
marking
जी सर.
अगर देखें तो.
जी सर.
For that you will need to go in a systematic manner. एक वीडियो देख लिया, फिर प्रैक्टिस कर लिया, एक वेबिनार अटेंड कर लिया, फिर प्रैक्टिस कर लिया. That is not a very systematic way.
जी सर, definitely.
Right? तो CSAT का एक distinct workshop है, hacked CSAT workshop.
Yes sir,
Hacked
definitely.
CSAT workshop. उसकी information also I'll share in the Telegram group. Hope you are in the Telegram group, Pradeep.
Yes, sir. I'm a part of it.
ठीक है. The CSAT workshop is not part of Smash Prelims, Pradeep, and
Yes,
other
sir.
students. CSAT's course is a distinct one, apart
Okay.
from Smash Prelims. ठीक है.
Okay.
Any other question? Any other question?
Hello, sir.
Who is this?
Nikki Tiwari here.
Nikki.
Yes, sir. सर मुझे
Yeah,
ये
Nikki.
पूछना था कि एक्चुअली अभी जब हम टेस्ट दे रहे हैं तो हम ऑनलाइन दे रहे हैं. सो आई एम ऑलरेडी अ पार्ट ऑफ द यूएपी प्रोग्राम प्लस स्मैश प्रीलिम्स में. तो एक्चुअली अभी जब हम एग्जाम दे रहे हैं इन द ऑनलाइन मोड में दे रहे हैं, तो मेरा जो एग्जाम है 1 hour 30 minutes में इट्स गेटिंग कंप्लीटेड. बट
ठीक
फिर
है.
जब मैं ऑफलाइन में कर रही हूँ तो इट इज गेटिंग लाइक एक्सटेंड हो रहा है. फिर मुझे टाइम मतलब टाइम का क्रंच हो रहा है. तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट कि हम ऑफलाइन भी ओएमआर शीट में करें, क्योंकि एक्चुअली होता ये है कि हम मार्क को रेड कर देते हैं, हम लेटर में कर देते हैं, तो आराम से क्लिक किया, आराम से वी आर जम्प टू दैट क्वेश्चन. सो देयर इज अ डिफरेंस कि हमें जब ऑनलाइन दे रहे हैं ऑफलाइन दे रहे हैं तो इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट एज इक्वल कि हमें ऑनलाइन भी और ऑफलाइन भी उतने ही टेस्ट देने चाहिए. मतलब कैसे इज अ प्रोपोर्शन
ठीक है.
आई एम आस्किंग.
Fine. This is a good question, Nikki.
Thank
Tell
you,
me
sir.
how much time are you taking to complete the paper in offline mode?
ऑफलाइन मोड में सर इट्स गेटिंग 1 hour 45 above इट इज गेटिंग.
1 hour 45 minutes लग रहे हैं.
यस सर.
That is still good, right? 2 घंटा मिलता है तुमको एग्जाम में.
हाँ सर.
See, the rule is simple. Whatever time you are taking in online mode, add 20 minutes to that. 20 minutes, which you will require to mark your bubbles. ठीक है? If after adding 20 minutes to the time taken in an online test, if you are doing it in less than 2 hours, you are in a comfortable situation. 2 घंटे के ऊपर जा रहा है तो गड़बड़ है.
नहीं सर 2 घंटे में हो जा रहा है, लेकिन फिर जो वो थर्ड राउंड होता है वो नहीं हो पा रहा. फिर 2 राउंड ही हो रहे हैं. फिर
थर्ड राउंड होगा भी नहीं, निकी. See, I'll suggest you one thing. Go through 2 years of past year papers, 2021, 2022, और उसको टाइम फॉर्मेट में करने की कोशिश करो. You would realize कि सेकंड राउंड ही बड़ी मुश्किल से हो पाता है होंगे, but they start appearing lengthy. The paper starts appearing lengthy because it's framed in such a manner that you have to think a lot, which consumes time. And for that reason, 2 attempts is 2 rounds is good enough.
ओके जी सर. जब ऑनलाइन अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हैं तो फिर आराम से 3 राउंड्स भी हो जा रहे हैं, लेकिन 1 hour 30 minutes ही लग रहा है इन ऑनलाइन मोड.
बेसिक रूल जो हमने बात किया, 20 मिनट्स ऐड करो उसमें. 2 घंटे से कम में अगर हो रहा है, सेफ साइड 25 मिनट्स ऐड कर लो, सेफ ऑन अ सेफर साइड. 25 मिनट्स ऐड करने के बाद भी 2 घंटे में अगर हो जा रहा है, यू आर इन अ गुड सिचुएशन.
और सर एक और क्वेश्चन पूछना था कि इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट अगेन टू फिल द बबल्स वाला, वैसे भी ऑफलाइन टेस्ट देना जरूरी है? थोड़ा सा देना चाहिए.
हाँ,
कितने देने चाहिए?
साइकोलॉजिकल एडवांटेज होता है, निकी, राइट?
यस सर.
See, it gives you a psychological confidence कि चलो, I am not bubbling an OMR sheet for the first time in the exam hall. Nothing should be new in the examination hall. पहले से थोड़ी भी प्रैक्टिस कर ली तुमने, that would give you subconscious confidence. ऐसा भी नहीं है कि तुमको 100 टेस्ट देने की जरूरत है ऑफलाइन मोड में. Even that is not the case. A couple of tests in offline mode is more than sufficient to give you that requisite confidence. ठीक है.
तो मुझे एक और क्वेश्चन पूछना था कि सर जब हम रिवीजन करते हैं टेस्ट का, तो इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट कि हर एक टेस्ट के लिए हमने एक शीट बना लिया, उसके लिए रिवीजन कर लिया, शीट बना ले जिससे कि उसको रिवीजन करने में आसानी होगी? इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर एवरी टेस्ट टू डू इट?
एनालिसिस शीट बनाना है हर टेस्ट के बाद?
हाँ सर.
What do you imply by analysis sheet?
For reference of book. सर इट मींस कि जो क्वेश्चंस हमने गलत कर दिए हैं उसको जो है 1 से 2 लाइन में कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव करके लिख लिया, और उसको जब रिवीजन करना है उस सब्जेक्ट का तो वापस से उस शीट पे रिफर कर लिया, या फिर वापस से उस 100 क्वेश्चन को अटेम्प्ट करना है वापस जाकर उस टेस्ट को.
Got it. See, Nikki, first of all, don't take your mock tests as some sort of a gospel truth. अगर कुछ क्वेश्चंस वहां पर गलत हो भी रहे हैं तो ठीक है, दैट्स जस्ट फॉर योर मेंटल ट्रेनिंग पर्पस. लेकिन अगर टू मार्क रॉन्ग, मार्क दोज वर्ड्स. से फॉर एग्जांपल 30 गलतियां की हैं तुमने पूरे पेपर में, डोंट मेक नोट्स फॉर ऑल दोस 30. Those places where you are not expected to go wrong but still you went wrong, mark those. कैसे पता चलेगा जहां पर तुम एक्सपेक्टेड हो सही मार्क करने के? PYQs, और if you have a mentor, no third way around. ठीक है
सर, एक और क्वेश्चन था कि जो हम मॉक टेस्ट देते हैं उसको रिवाइज करने का जो चैनल रहता है वो कैसे रिपीट करना है या क्या करना है?
नहीं, I didn't get your question. रिवाइज करने का चैनल कैसे रिपीट करना है?
हाँ सर.
I didn't understand your question.
सर मतलब जैसे अभी हमने टेस्ट दे दिया, अभी पॉलिटी का था तो 4 टेस्ट लगा दिए, 5 टेस्ट लगा दिए, तो फिर वापस एक बार उस टेस्ट को देने की रिवाइज करने की जरूरत है, या फिर जो हमने गलत किया था उसको ऑलरेडी हमने मार्क कर रखा है अपने क्वेश्चंस में, उसको देख लिया बस, या फिर वापस से रेफर करने की जरूरत है टेस्ट को?
अच्छा, repeatedly referring tests, you are referring tests that you have given earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay, now this is a big misconception, Nikki. In the earlier part of this meeting, I had categorically stated that I don't believe in using tests as a source of knowledge. It's a big no. टेस्ट को सिर्फ मेंटल ट्रेनिंग एक्सरसाइज के तौर पर देखो. You will definitely go back to the tests to find out if some new information was taken by you from that test. उसके अलावा there is no use in going back to a test. You won't go back to a test during your revision phase unless you have noted down some new information, some important information out of it. As simple as that. Don't increase your load. Remember, we learned about progressive reduction of workload, progressive reduction of content. वो करना है हमको, चीजें बढ़ानी नहीं है. Clear, Nikki?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ikhra, do you have any question? I believe you have joined late.
No, sir, not yet. And I have joined earlier when it is started. And even last one also I have joined. But yeah, I have cleared many points in that. It is very helpful.
You are part of the previous workshop and you are part of
yeah,
this
exactly,
workshop.
exactly.
Okay, then you are a very good candidate, Ikhra, क्योंकि तुमने दोनों वर्कशॉप अटेंड, दोनों वेबिनार अटेंड किए हैं.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So if I ask you, कुछ फायदा हुआ in the sense कुछ सीखने को मिला?
Yeah, obviously, sir. Actually, the important part is that in prelims, I feel that it is in a very structured way, because mostly I felt as in my previous attempt, as I'm into the preparation from last 2 years, and I have given prelims as well as like a kind of the 90 marks approach in my first prelims. That is a kind of thing like where I feel some little bit confident that I can clear in second one. So in this prelims I felt like कि मुझे एक वो वे मिल रहा है कि जहाँ पर एक होता है ना डिस्कशन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट होता है टेस्ट के बाद. अब तक हम टेस्ट लगा रहे, टेस्टिंग कर रहे थे, बट सेकंड चीज क्या आ जाती थी कि ये नहीं मालूम होता था कि लाइक व्हाई वी आर गेटिंग दीज लो मार्क्स, क्यों आ रहे हैं नंबर कम. मतलब अटेम्प्ट तो मैं पूरा करके आ रही हूँ, बेस्ट देख कर आ रही हूँ, समझ में नहीं आ रहा है लैग कहाँ जा रहा है. तो वो जो एक पॉइंट होता था, कहाँ से पता चलेगा, कौन हमें बताएगा, लुकअप कौन करेगा उस चीज को. तो ये अकाउंटेबिलिटी बहुत क्लियर हुई है एंड ये बहुत फायदा भी है इससे कि प्रीलिम्स में ना हम बूस्ट कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि एज इन द एंड प्रीलिम्स को क्वालिफाई करना है सर. तो थोड़ा सा बस ये है कि उस क्वालिफाई को कैसे करना है, बिकॉज मेन फोकस इज ऑन मेंस, बट क्वालिफाई कैसे करना है, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. और ये बहुत अच्छा है इस चीज में.
That is something very good that you have mentioned, Ikhra, कि you have given an attempt earlier, but you're not able to pinpoint
exactly
as to why exactly your scores are on the lower side. Why are you not able to increase your score? Now, relatively, you have better clarity as to what is going wrong. Clarity ही अगर नहीं है, improvise कैसे करोगे? Isn't it? Okay. Are there any more questions, or should we end the discussion? Okay, I believe there are no more questions. I've shared the registration link in the chat section already. Use that to register for the Smash Prelims program. And as always, I hope that the session has been insightful to all of you, and hope to see you guys both in the Telegram group and as part of the Smash Prelims interaction in the Destroy Prelims 10 days workshop. Thanks for being here, guys. Chalo. Good night.